Hey guys, it's your boy Sweet coming at you with a brand new video, and today I wanted to talk about the Star Wars sequel trilogy. I was inspired to make this by Casual Nerd Thoughts, who made a video on why the sequel trilogy should be retconned. I watched the video as I wanted to hear others' takes on it, and even though I disagree with what he said almost entirely, I went to his comments and I said, hey, I don't agree with you, but let's have a discussion. After that, I knew by the video that he made and by the discussion that he had that he appreciates Star Wars and loves Star Wars just as much as I do. He wants the best for the saga, he wants the best for the series, and overall, I could tell that he's not one of those people who are just nitpicking online just to nitpick or hating. He actually has reason to believe what he believes, and I respect that. I respect anyone's opinions on Star Wars, regardless if I agree with them or not, and it's always good to hear other people's thoughts because even though we might not agree, their takes may influence our opinion and may change our perspective. Because remember, Star Wars is always about perspective. So I'm going to put his link down below for you guys to go ahead and check him out because I know his channel just recently started up, but let's go ahead and get some subscribers for him because his content is very good and I can't wait to see what other topics he wants to talk about in the future. So what I'm going to do is talk about every movie, my thoughts on them, and in the end, give my thoughts as a trilogy as a whole. So let's start off with The Force Awakens. What a movie! When I saw the teaser trailer for the movie when it came out, I was excited. I grew up with the original six, and the prequels were the movies that I surrounded myself during my childhood. After knowing the then canon story of post Return of the Jedi, I was very excited when The Force Awakens was announced. I remember the initial trailer, and I thought that Kylo Ren was Jason and Rey was Jaina Solo. Safe to say, I was ready for these movies. When the movie came and I left the theater, I left satisfied. The movie was great. It introduced a new set of characters that would surely be fleshed out in the next two movies, right? Rey, Finn, Kylo, and Poe were awesome in this one. We had our old favorites return too, such as Luke, Han, Leia, Chewie, you name it. I was finally able to also hear the TIE fighters in theaters, which was very cool because I never thought I would hear that happen. I understand that the movie has familiar story beats as A New Hope, and I understand why. It had to reintroduce Star Wars, so I get why the movie was the way it was, because it also introduced a lot of new ideas to the table, with my favorite being Supreme Leader Snoke. Snoke was awesome. I wanted to know so much about this dark, mysterious figure. Who is he? What are his goals? I thought the First Order had a menacing feel to them as well. Han's death was expected, but I think we all reacted the same way when it happened. Absolute sadness. Luke appearing at the end was the biggest cliffhanger, and him training Rey was a great topic of discussion leading up to Episode 8. Captain Phasma was the new Boba Fett of these movies, and her introduction presented her as a force that would be reckoned with. Right? Right? Well, now that we talked about the good, now here comes the not so good. And first, I guess I'll mention Captain Phasma. I didn't like her arc in the movie. She barely had any runtime, and when she did, she was literally thrown into garbage. Though there was an explanation why, I didn't like that Rey beat Kylo in their first duel. I thought it undercut the training of a Jedi, Luke's teachings, and the knowledge and the force that you need to wield a lightsaber. Rey never held one before. Rey never held a lightsaber. She had no training. So how is this possible? I know that there's an explanation to why, like I've said, but to me, it's always been something that I've never really truly been able to wrap my hand around and justify, because if that's the case, then why didn't Luke just completely obliterate Vader in Empire Strikes Back? Explain that. Even he had training too. Why didn't he win? Rey didn't have any training, but she won. It doesn't make any sense to me. Aside from those two particular things about The Force Awakens, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great, and it laid out the groundwork for a trilogy that can go into any direction. Now, with that being said, this leads into my thoughts directly into The Last Jedi. Oh, The Last Jedi. How I was and still am disappointed in you. Even though Star Wars is a series that I love, and I'll watch any of the episodes any day of the week, Episode 8 doesn't make that easy. All the things we wanted to see from Episode 7, Rey, Luke, Snoke and his backstory, Finn and the First Order, they were all tossed off the side of the cliff like Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber. The attempt at comedy was poor in this movie. Rian Johnson, what was this? Were you making Star Wars 2 Infinity War for the MCU? No. While Episode 8 was visually beautiful, had a few good moments, and at its core is still Star Wars, there's a lot of issues in this movie, and here are two specifically. For one, Luke Skywalker. My opinion on Luke's character in this one, I could see both sides of the coin. I understand the notion that it's out of character for Luke to want to strike down Kylo after saving Vader or abandoning himself from his friends. I understand where those people come from, but I also understand that people change over time. Things happen that cause you to deal with situations differently for better and for worse. Here, it was worse for Luke, and when he completed his arc at the end of Episode 8, he went out like a hero. He served his purpose, but why couldn't we get the Luke Skywalker that we all know and love? While some of his reasons to why he did what he did make sense, this was a big missed opportunity. I knew once he threw the lightsaber off of the cliff what we were in for. Second, Snoke. Why did they kill him? This made me shake my head in theaters. Why? Everyone for the last 2 years, between episode 7 and 8, constantly theorized about Snoke and everything about him. And he barely makes it halfway through the movie. If he was killed for Kylo to take the reins of the First Order and to be completely consumed by the dark side to strike down Luke and complete his training for real, I would have been fine. But nope, Snoke just came and went, like he was nothing. Thank you, Rian Johnson. You subverted my expectations well. To conclude, while Episode 8 has a lot of problems, I didn't really enjoy this movie if I'm being completely honest with you. It's hard to sit through, a lot of it doesn't make sense, and it angers me a lot watching it, and it felt very conclusive to a trilogy that had 3 parts. Rey was a nobody, it was confirmed, Broom Boy grabbed the broom. Where else do they go from here? The Rise of Skywalker. I'm prepared for the comment section here, but The Rise of Skywalker is actually in my top 3 favorite Star Wars movie. Yeah, it is, and there's a reason for that. I know the plot is a jumbled mess at times, and there are a lot of things in this movie that I've looked back on and feel out of place. I can't ignore that my experience watching the movie had an influence on where this sits on my list, and I recognize that this movie was kind of a jumbled mess after the fact. This movie tried to make some interesting things that would have worked better if they were set up in The Last Jedi, while also introducing new things like the Dyad and the Force. Palpatine is back, but would he have come back if Snoke survived? Probably not. If Palpatine didn't come back, would Rey still remain a nobody? Probably, and that's something that I really wanted them to keep. There's one big problem with this movie, and initially I was excited, overjoyed, happy, and thrilled. But after sitting on it for a year, I have to talk about it. That's Palpatine. Alright, why is he here? I know J.J. Abrams had to fix the mess that was The Last Jedi, but why is Palpatine back? In the big grand story, it really doesn't make any sense. Palpatine somehow transferred his soul to Exegol to begin trying to clone himself as he fell down the Death Star shaft, and was also building Star Destroyers, and the Sith Eternal were making Snoke clones too? Nah, this ain't it. If this was hinted and made sense to the plot, then sure, but it sticks out like a sore thumb. I love Ian McDiarmid's performance of Palpatine. He was fantastic. He was dark, sinister, and it was awesome seeing Palpatine on the big screen again, and for me the first time. But to the plot, it wasn't needed. Kylo should have had full reigns in this movie as Supreme Leader after killing Snoke. But now, from Palpatine, it's easy to switch from this to my next issue. The Death Star. Okay, so you're trying to tell me that the Death Star that was literally obliterated in space, blown to bits, somehow survived, and some of it landed on a planet completely unscathed? Now yes, I know the glass was broken and pieces were there, but how was the Emperor's throne room literally, not touched? I don't understand that. That's fan fiction. That's fan service in the worst way possible. It undercuts episode 6, and I honestly can't forgive this movie for that. It's dumb. Finally, my last issue, and this isn't so much of an episode 9 issue, more of a sequel trilogy issue. Why was Rey Palpatine's granddaughter? Okay, I accept it, and it is what it is, but why? I love the idea that you didn't have to be related to anybody to be special. If they stuck with that, I think Rey would have been way more accepted after the already negative notion about her. They doomed her in the eyes of most, especially at the end when she called herself Skywalker. Personally, if they were going to make her Palpatine's granddaughter, then they should have stuck with the theme that they presented in episode 9, which I really liked. It doesn't matter about your bloodline, it matters what's in your heart. Like how Luke told Rey on Ahch-To, and why Leia ended up training her to begin with. At the end, she should have said Rey Palpatine, not Rey Skywalker. I think the reaction of her saying Rey Palpatine and embracing who she was would have been a lot better. Overall, episode 9, like I said, had its flaws, but my viewing experience in theaters was I can't even describe the amount of the mix of emotions and feelings that went through me when I was watching episode 9. It was thrilling. It was thrilling. I can't take that away from the movie. And it's one of the movies that I can go back and rewatch any day of the week. It's just that looking back on it after sitting on it for a year, I understand that there's a lot of plot holes and a lot of new plot holes created by this movie. But if I was just watching this movie without thinking of any of that, I could sit here and enjoy The Rise of Skywalker no problem and leave that movie with a smile on my face. With that being said, overall, the sequel trilogy has a lot of flaws and it isn't perfect. And while episode 8 happens to be the black sheep of the saga, I can't ignore the sequel trilogy. I do think that they could have done a lot better with the movies. I do think that they could have done a lot better with the plot. But you could tell from episode 7, 8, and 9, it's not. It's like you know that there wasn't a plan for these movies. With episodes 7, 8, and 9, like I said, episode 8 felt so conclusive at the end of it. Episode 9, it's like, okay, what do we do now? And that's what we got out of episode 9. Even though I enjoyed it, that's what we got out of episode 9. Anyways, guys, with that being said, I appreciate you guys checking out this video. Go ahead and subscribe to my boy. The link is down below. Like I said, I hope you guys had a great new year, great holiday season, and I will see you all the next time I decide to post a video on here. With that being said, peace out, y'all. Have a great day. Peace.